Hi, I'm Matt from Tubby Tarot. Today, I want to have a bit of fun. I have been clearing out my books, and one of the little books that I found, I actually forgot I had this book. It's called The Book of Fortune Telling, The Art of Divination and Clairvoyance by Michael Johnston. There it is. Sweet little throwaway book. It's one of those books that you can delve into. I call it a toilet book because you can take this to the loo when you're having a poo and you can just go, oh, okay, I'll read that section. Poo over, close the book, throw it back in the shelf. That's coming up right after this. Hi, welcome back. Okay, so we're going to look at the poo book, all right? Or should I say the fortune telling book, Book of Fortune Telling. But I don't want to do I'm not doing a review of this book. It's just a really cool book. But what I want to do is I want to read to you some of the incredibly bizarre forms of divination that are actually out there, and people actually use all these things. Not obviously, some of them are not used all the time, and some of them are pretty radically weird and disturbing, but some of them are really, really funny. And I've gone and chosen a couple of the funniest, weirdest ones, to me, the weirdest ones. And I want to just share these with you. There are lots and lots of them in this book, but these are the ones I want to share with you. So let's start at the A's. And I hope I pronounce all of these correctly because I have been practicing. Okay. Anthropomancy. Now long outlawed, anthropomancy is a means of divination that involves human sacrifice. So this is obviously kind of Mayan, Aztec, stab the heart out, slit the guts open, let's see what's happening inside there kind of stuff. And then they would foretell the future using the entrails of the human sacrifice. I don't think that's kind of happening at the moment. At least I'm sure it's not happening out in the open. Okay, you have axiomancy. Axiomancy. This one fascinates me. When an axe or hatchet is driven into a post, the way in which it quivers before settling is thought to provide a signpost to what will occur in the days to follow. So you would throw the axe, you would watch it quiver, and the quivering of the axe, not where the axe lands, but the quivering of the axe is what you actually read, okay? And that quivering, God knows how that would work. My eyesight is so bad, I wouldn't see quivering if it jumped up and bit me on the arse, so that wouldn't work for me. But okay, axiomancy. All right, we've all heard of bibliomancy and cartomancy, we do. But then I've got one here called ceromancy. Ceromancy. Also known as ceroscopy, ceromancy practitioners pour molten wax into water. Oh, I've actually heard of this. They pour molten wax into water and they use the shapes taken on by the hardening wax as the clues that will unravel the mysteries of the future. It's very similar. I've actually heard about this. It's actually very similar to tasseography, where you read tea leaves, which we've all heard of, I'm sure. Yeah, tea leaf reading is called tasseography. And this is ceromancy, and it's where you read the shapes that the wax form in the water. Okay, also quite an interesting one. I think I might actually read up a bit on that and see if I could perhaps get into doing that. Ceromancy. Okay, let's have a look at another one. Let's go to the D's. This is a very interesting one. Daphnomancy. D-A-P-H, nomancy. Daphnomancy. People using this divine do so by burning laurel branches on an open fire and interpreting the resulting crackling that fills the air. Okay, so laurel is a wood that was sacred to the ancient Greeks, who believed that it communicated the spirit of prophecy. So again, these people don't watch the flames, they don't watch the they don't watch the sparks, they don't watch the smoke. They listen to the crackling that fills the air when the laurel wood is burning. So they have to listen. The same way the people watch that quivering axe, the daphomancers would listen to the crackling in the air, okay? And they would obviously have a very large manual, I would assume, of sound, or I don't know how they would do this. But daphnomancy, the crackling of the laurel branches. Now we have hippomancy, and no, I don't think it has anything to do with hippos or fat people. Hippomancy. Hippomancers divine the future by watching horses, taking note specifically of their stomping and neighing, again, sound. The art was probably developed among the tribes of Native Americans and was observed by settlers on the track west as still being practiced by native tribes well into the 19th century. Okay, so again, the neighing and the stomping sound of horses. Okay, next, ichthyomancy, I-C-T-H-Y, ichthyomancy. Okay, obviously this is about watching the way fish behave. So specifically these people would watch the way a fish behaves when it is placed in a consecrated pool. They too can swim in the knowledge of waters of knowledge of tomorrow. So the fish, how the fish behaves when it is placed into this consecrated pool. So I'm assuming you would have to consecrate the pool before putting the fish inside. That just reminds you of those little fish that you get out of a Christmas cracker and you pop it on your hand. It depends on which way it curls. That's yes or no or something like that. I don't know if you've ever had those little fish. Okay, then we have libanomancy. Libanomancy. Again, as incense burns, the fumes given off twist and turn in the air, creating endlessly fascinating patterns. It is these patterns that Libanomancers observe, hoping to see in them the solutions to whatever it is that troubles them. Now, this kind of makes sense because Indian people use something called Laban. It's a type of very, very powerful incense to cleanse their sacred spaces, to do prayers, to cleanse themselves. It's called Laban. So this kind of makes sense. Libanomancy. Okay, watching the trails of smoke from incense. Then there is metoposcopy. Metoposcopy. This concerns itself the lines of the forehead. Okay, so you get something called phrenology, which is the shape and the size of the skull. But this is metoposcopy, and this considers the lines on the forehead. So I don't really have any lines. I don't know if I've got lines on my forehead. Let's have a look. My forehead's pretty clear. Okay, so there's some lines. Okay, so this looks at the lines of the forehead when assessing a person's character, and therefore you can gain an insight in what could await that person. So look at the lines on their forehead. Okay, that is called metoposcopy. Here we go. Omphalomancy. No, it sure doesn't have anything to do with penises. This particular method of divination has but one use only: to foretell the number of children women will have by counting the knots, oh my God, by counting the knots on the umbilical cord following the arrival of the firstborn. Now, first of all, I did not know that if umbilical cord had knots in it. Okay, honest to God, I didn't know this. If this is true, please comment below, because I have never seen a real live umbilical cord. So I don't know if they have knots in them, but that's a really, really weird one. So they can tell the number of subsequent children a woman will have by counting the knots on their firstborn child's umbilical cord. And that is called omphalomancy. Ugh, okay, sounds a bit gruesome to me. Here's one, pagomancy. Spring water and the way it bubbles up through natural fountains are used by pagomancers to discern how those who seek the way ahead should take the plunge. Oh, the puns. So spring water, the way the spring water bubbles in pagomancy, okay, that would be looked at and it would be seen as a way of foretelling the future. We then have the last two. The first one is taromancy. This is my best. Cheese and the crumbs it leaves on the plate may seem unlikely, but this is what they do, okay? What's on the cheese board or growing on the cheese is used, and the crumbs of the cheese, this is used to tell the future. Again, kind of like tassiography, where you read the tea leaves. They use cheese crumbs. And the last one, xylomancy, the shapes of pieces of wood when they are collected and the way this changes when the logs are burnt is what xylomancers do. This is how they make their predictions. Okay, so xylomancy is the way the wood falls when it is collected and put into a bunch, and how it actually, the patterns it makes when it burns. So these are the weirdest ones there are weirder ones in here, but those are just like some of the weird ways of doing divination that I thought I would share with you. Okay, that's the book, Fortune Telling, Book of Fortune Telling. Okay, if you want to get it, it's cheap. Get it on Amazon. I'll put the link down below. It's a silly little book, throwaway book. I call it my poo book. Okay, lovely spending this time with you. My name's Matthew, and I am from Tubby Tarot, and I will see you on the flip side.